Hey guys, what's up? Dingo Crikey here with another Transformers commentary video. This one is going to be number 6 in my Transformers 5 Q&A series. Basically, this is going to be the same setup as my previous Q&A videos. For those of you who may have not seen them, basically I take questions about Transformers 5 which I've received on comments of my previous videos, and just kind of casually answer and theorize on them here. And I say casually because this is not a Transformers 5 news video. If you're looking for something that's strictly fact-based and news-based, then you probably want to go back, because this kind of video is just for fun. You know, people put their questions out there, I give my thoughts on them in the video, I give the thoughts of the commenter if they left any, or any theories that might be floating around in the community. If there is news on any one of the topics, then I'll try to cover it in the video, but overall, this is a video just to kind of kill the time between now and the next Transformers 5 news, and of course between now and the film. The first question for this one comes from user 2150, and he was asking for my thoughts on Lennox returning in Transformers 5. As far as it actually happening, you know, it could happen this early in production. They could get him back for the film, but I did some searching and I can't find any news on the actor Josh Duhamel coming back for Transformers 5. I could be wrong, but I don't think he even commented too much on Age of Extinction or anything, so it seems like he's out of the game at this point. I mean, with Age of Extinction, they kind of seem to want to do a soft reboot, you know, where it's still the same story, but they take out a lot of the characters, humans and Transformers alike, and I think Lennox was, you know, just part of that old cast who they kind of wanted to get rid of. They're still doing casting for the film as far as I know, because we just had Isabela Moner, like, supposedly cast, or so we think, so, you know, maybe he'll come back for the film, but I've yet to see anything that gives me an indication he will be coming back. On a side note, if they were to bring him back, I think a good way to incorporate him back into the story is have him return with characters such as Sideswipe and maybe Dino too. Basically have it said that when the government turned on the Transformers, certain humans such as Lennox sided with them, hence they had to go into hiding themselves. I've done a whole bunch of videos on the whole Sideswipe returning thing. If you guys are interested in that, you know, just look up Sideswipe on my channel and you'll find some videos on it, though my old videos aren't really that good, so, you know, just keep an eye out for the release date of the video. Anyways, thanks for the question, and the next one comes from user Jordan Swift. The comment reads, could Cliffjumper be in any of the future movies, because he was killed in Transformers Prime? Thanks for the question. First thing I want to address is Cliffjumper's death in Transformers Prime. Now, I know a lot of Transformers fans have different opinions on the way continuities work, what things are in the same universe. In my opinion, and if you're to analyze both forms of media, there's no way that the Transformers Prime universe can coincide with the movie universe unless they're like alternate realities or something like that. Personally, I'm not going to get into that. I don't think that was ever the intention with either Bayformers or Transformers Prime, so in any case, I don't think Cliffjumper's death has any effect on, you know, whether he would appear in the films or not. As far as Cliffjumper goes, I did discuss him in an older video. Cliffjumper is one of those characters that I think could kind of show up at any time, because he isn't like a special character in the way that Cyclonus and Scourge are, where they're traditionally Galvatron's minions, or a character such as the Quintessons. Now that we're hearing the talk of the creators, we're expecting, you know, the Quintessons could show up. I don't think Cliffjumper is going to appear in Transformers 5, mainly because I'm thinking they'd want other characters such as Ultra Magnus and Blur to fill out this new group, rather than someone such as Cliffjumper, like, you know, Season 3 G1 characters. If the films are going to kind of follow G1's story pattern, you know, where we have Galvatron and the creators introduced, it would make sense that we would see some of these characters such as Ultra Magnus and Blur and Rodimus, who, you know, coincidentally are showing up in some of the Generations toy lines as well, so Hasbro are interested in using those names. And I'm kind of getting sidetracked. Basically, you know, anything could happen. We don't have a whole lot of news on TF5 at this point. We really don't know what the plot is going to be for sure. I'm just a guy sitting at his computer reading internet stories and making predictions, but I'm not seeing Cliffjumper as one of the potential characters. Anyways, the next question comes from user Superior Vinyl. The comment reads, can you do a video on some of the IDW Transformers that might work well for future movies or shows, such as Windblade, the Decepticon Justice Division, The Lost Light, or an awesome theory such as Shattered Glass Prime turning into Nemesis Prime, or Thunderwing, a servant of Unicron, being the next threat to at least tease Unicron. Thanks for the question. It's a pretty loaded one, so I'm not going to be able to cover everything here, but I wanted to kind of generally address it and then maybe talk about some of these topics in future videos. I do want to preface anything in regards to the IDW comics by saying I've just recently started reading the IDW comics, finishing up the first trade back. I read Last Stand of the Wreckers a little while ago, which I do plan on reviewing pretty soon here, along with the other trade backs as I read them, if you're interested in that. But I just wanted to say that so you guys understand I can't give the most informative opinions on any one of these, because I know about like most of these things that are listed, but I haven't actually read those comics. I do plan on doing that and discuss them more extensively once I've read them. But kind of doing a rapid fire answers, Windblade is a character I could definitely see showing up in the films. If for nothing else, Hasbro seems to like to put her in just about everything Transformers right now, you know, in Thrilling 30, the Combiner Wars comic books, and that now in Robots in Disguise as well, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if she were to show up in the films. The Decepticon Justice Division, I don't think they're going to show up. For one thing, I think the films are going to be taking a lighter direction, and they're a pretty dark group of characters. The concept of them all together, from what I understand, is pretty brutal, so I don't think we'd be seeing them. Even if Paramount weren't against putting a concept like that in the films, I really don't see how they'd be relevant to the films at this point in time, because, you know, once again, I've only read a little bit about the characters, that kind of thing. But from what I understand, when they come into the comic books, their storyline has to deal with them punishing Decepticons who they think have fallen away from the true Decepticon way. And that seems to work in the comics, because from what people tell me, from what I've read, it seems like we have Decepticons who don't abide strictly with the Decepticon ethos, you know, Megatron's original mentality. At this point in time, we'd have no significant characters for the DJD to punish, and, you know, if they were to show up and kill a guy such as, I don't know, Barricade, it wouldn't really have an impact because he hasn't been a developed character or anything like that. If they had a certain Decepticon who appeared, let's say, in Age of Extinction, sided with the Autobots, and, you know, then we had the Decepticon Justice Division showing up in Transformers 5, that would make sense, but I don't think they have the setup for it now, and I do think it's a little bit too dark for the films, at least in my opinion. I don't know a whole lot about the Lost Light. I don't think Thunderwing's going to be used to tease Unicron like he, I guess, kind of was in the Marvel comic books. I won't get into spoilers there, but I did kind of talk about it in my recent Nemesis Prime video, if you're interested in hearing that. I think they're going to use other characters to kind of tease and lead up to Unicron, especially dealing with the Matrix and Visions and Optimus's head, all of that kind of stuff, but those are just my thoughts on it. Anyways, I'm going to take one final question for this video. That comes from user Driftshot. His comment reads, in the IDW comics, there's a character named Verity Carlo, who was somewhat of a tomboy and orphan who played a pivotal role in the TF comic verse. What if Isabela played her? Referring to Isabela Moner, as the comment was left on the video reporting on, you know, her potentially starring in the films. And I thought this was a really smart idea of what they could be doing with Isabela Moner's character, because her description, her being a tomboy and an orphan, does definitely line up with Verity Carlo. Now, like I said, I've only read so much of the comics, but she did play a pretty big part in Last Stand of the Wreckers, so kind of have a good grip on her character. To me, the actress seems a little bit young to play the character, but if they're going to kind of like grow her into Verity Carlo's character, I think it might be good to cast her really young, because she's like 14 years old right now. If they're planning on doing this for another 10 years or even more, you know, she's going to be around for a while, so she might grow into the role. Now, the character that Isabela Moner is supposedly going to play is a character called Isabela, strangely, but this could very well be a placeholder name. They could be using it to kind of throw us off so we don't know the identity of the character, maybe have it a surprise for some of the comic book fans, or they could just keep her name as Isabela and make her similar to the character Verity Carlo from the comics. I mean, it's something I've seen done with comic to film or TV adaptations in the past. For example, with both The Walking Dead and some of the X-Men cartoons, they'll change certain characters' non-mutant names, so they could be doing that. Now, Verity's character is kind of friends with some of the Transformers, but I don't think she like has a little robot friend. That could just be, you know, something new they're adding to her character. But Verity is supposed to be kind of tech savvy from what I remembered in the comics, so, you know, this guy could probably help her with some of that, especially if he were brains. That would work out really well or fix it. And it also makes note of the fact that her only friend is this character until she meets Cade, so we have no mention that Isabela's character is going to be like tech savvy, but we know Verity is, and if she makes this friendship with Cade, you know, them bonding over being, you know, both tech-savvy, fix-it type of people might be a way for them to work it into the plot. So I don't have a definite answer for this one, other than worrying about them, like, ruining Verity's character, which is pretty much what we worry about with any character added to the films. Hopefully the new writers will help curb some of those fears, but I think it would be cool. It seems like a pretty good setup. I mean, the actress doesn't totally look like the character, you know, she does have a bit more of a darker complexion and darker hair, which Verity has, but overall in the face, it's not like a spot-on match, but I think she could play the character. In any case, I don't have a direct answer for this one, kind of gave some of my thoughts there, just kind of wanted to throw it out there because I think Driftshot brought up a really cool theory. Anyways, those are all of the questions I'm going to answer in this Q&A. Thanks to all of you who submitted them, and to those questions that I couldn't answer in this video. If your questions were not addressed in this video, or you're a new viewer and you have some questions, then feel free to drop them off in the comment section below, and I might address them in a future Q&A. You can also drop off any request for figure reviews, as that's something I'm trying to do regularly on my channel now as well, and don't forget to vote on this video's poll. Finally, if you enjoy this type of video, you know, kind of casually discussing Transformers related stuff, you can go to my channel. I have a whole bunch of videos like this, and you can follow me on Twitter for more regular updates. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching, thanks for the questions, stay tuned, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you soon.